I stand to oppose this arbitrary and biased bill because if voters start feeling that the ECI is not an impartial and non-partisan body, then legitimacy of our democracy comes into question. Why is it that you're doing this? I mean, and who are they? No one is holy cow in democracy. There should be right to, even if the Prime Minister does anything wrong, he's subject to correction by judiciary. This will create a trust deficit in the eyes of people for CEC and the ECs. This will be wrong for our democracy. I stand to oppose this arbitrary and biased bill which the government is bringing in to ensure that the independence of Election Commission is finished forever. Sir, the reason I oppose this bill is because if voters start feeling that the ECI is not an impartial and non-partisan body, then legitimacy of our democracy comes into question. Sir, this bill overturns a Supreme Court constitutional bench judgment on appointment of CEC and ECs. I agree Parliament has been given this right under Article 324, but I submit that the parliamentary powers is not a power to defeat the purpose of Article 324, but rather to further its purpose. Its purpose is to ensure that an independent and impartial body. But this bill is being brought in to create an election commission which will work in the shadow of the Prime Minister Shri Modi. The search committee and the selection committee, a total of 6 people are involved in 2 stages. And out of these 6 people, there is only one independent person, that is LOP. Every other person is either part of the ruling party or officers who are serving under the government. Obviously, anyone they recommend will be a person who is acceptable to the government. Anyone with independent mind will not be accepted. The allegation of bias will be difficult to defeat, sir. What is the problem the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has in having Chief Justice of India as part of the committee? The government has given no reason to exclude the voice of legislature and judiciary from the appointment. The appointment process, sir, is now in fully control of the executive, that is the Prime Minister. Having CJ in the committee will add legitimacy to ECI in the eyes of the public. By bringing such a legislation, you are ensuring that the legitimacy which the ECI enjoys now, it decreases in the eyes of the common people. Sir, what is worse, sir, Chairman, sir, under Clause 8.2, the selection committee can recommend the name of any person, even if they are not part of the list of names provided by the search committee. So what will the law minister do? You know, an article under Clause 7 to an appointment will be valid even if the selection committee is not validly formed or even the committee has vacancy. The government is openly saying that once they have chosen a man or woman, then it cannot be challenged even if it is improperly done. So without even LOP, you can take anyone. Clause 5, sir, says that EC or CEC can only be someone who served as secretary to the Government of India. Why? Why only secretary? Why not expand eligibility criteria to include anyone with knowledge and experience of how elections are conducted? Why should it not include scholars, civil society, other persons? We can place a condition that members must not be elected or appointed officers or hold government position in the executive, legislative or judicial branch at the time of the appointment. We can add a condition that any past political affiliation can disqualify them. But to limit the appointment, sir, to the people who are secretaries of Government of India, the government is basically saying that so long as you are faithful to us, we will ensure that you get a rightful post under the executive. Their proximity to the existing government is being considered as a qualification when it should be considered otherwise. So proximity and faithfulness and capitulation are very important for anyone to become or to get all these posts. Now come to Clause 6, Chairman, sir. It provides a search committee must be constituted under the chairmanship of Law Minister. Now who will appoint the 2 other persons? Will it be the Law Minister? Why create this facade? You know, say openly that the Prime Minister will appoint and get done with it. The law is unclear on who will appoint this committee, who will appoint the other 2 persons. More than this, it is obviously a political process with no independent or impartial voice to suggest names other than those who are acceptable to the Honorable Prime Minister. May I suggest, sir, that the Standing Committee for Law and Justice should participate in the process. If you don't want the committee to prepare the list, let them at least collate recommendation or nomination of eligible people. Let the committee at least interview the people who the search committee recommend. Let there be a democratic process through which the appointees are filtered. And what is the procedure to be adopted by the selection search committees? Will it be majority or consensus? Will the dissenting party have a right to make the dissent public? Who will the minutes of meetings, will the minutes be made public? Will it be laid before this August House? Will both the committees provide reasons for recommendation? All of these requirements must be part of the legislation. There should be complete transparency in who's appointed, who's not. Now, clause 16, Chairman, sir. Look at this clause 16. It provides a blanket immunity to EC and CEC from any proceedings for any act done in the course of the duty. I mean, for example, if they have done a patently illegal thing, shouldn't the High Judiciary have a chance to assess their merits and hold this person accountable? Why is it that you're doing this? I mean, and who are they? No one is holy cow in democracy. There should be right to, even if the Prime Minister does anything wrong, he's subject to correction by judiciary. What did Baba Saheb Ambedkar said, sir? I mean, you don't have any regard for Baba Saheb Ambedkar. The Prime Minister and all of you say, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, this, that. But what about you? What did Baba Saheb said? Baba Saheb Ambedkar said on June 15, 1949, sir. I'm reading only few lines of what great Ambedkar had said, who I feel was the tallest leader India has ever produced. He was more taller than Mahatma Gandhi also. What Baba Saheb Ambedkar said, in every early stage of the proceeding of Constituent Assembly, a committee was appointed to deal with what are called fundamental rights. The committee made a report that it should be recognized that independent elections and the avoidance of any interference by the executive in the election to the legislature should be regarded as a fundamental right and provided for in the chapter dealing fundamental rights. When the matter came up before the House, it was the wish of the House that while there was no objection to regard this matter as of fundamental importance, it should be provided for in some other part of the Constitution and not in the chapter dealing fundamental rights. Baba Sahib goes on and says, but the House affirmed without any kind of dissent that in the interest of purity and freedom of elections to the legislative bodies, it was of the utmost importance that they should be free from any kind of interference from the executive of the day. You are going against what our Constituent Assembly, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar said. And sir, I'm concluding, sir. Section 10 of the bill, sir. Section 10 of the bill provides the salaries of the EC and the CEC shall be equivalent to that of Cabinet Secretary. Why are you degrading it? Earlier, the salaries were equivalent to the Supreme Court judge. Why is the government doing it, sir? To control them.
No, please.
And I'm concluding, sir. Both important, sir. Because the salaries and benefits available to judge of Supreme Court can only be altered by Parliament. Whereas, if the benefits are accruing to a Cabinet Secretary can be decided by the Executive upon the recommendation of Pay and Commission. So, sir, this is very important that the Election Commission funds are not being drawn from the Consolidated Fund of India. Can the government change it? And that is why, sir, I feel that this will create a trust deficit in the eyes of people for CEC and the ECs. This will be wrong for our democracy, because if an impartial and non-partisan body is not there, then the legitimacy of our democracy comes into question, sir. That is why I stand to oppose the bill. I do not know whether the Honourable Minister has authority to accept others, and thank you.